Hello, I'm here at MultiModal to talk with Martin Gleadow, who is Head of Customer Success for 3 Squared, and Martin has been talking today on rail freight's digital future. Martin, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about 3 Squared and how you came to be involved in logistics.
Yeah, so I've been at 3 Squared about 7 years now. The company itself was founded in 2002. Shortly after being founded, it got into working with safety management, which led it into the railway, where we had our first big rail software really was around competency management. And yeah, that's relevant to the freight and logistics market because if you're looking at train preparation, for example, there's a lot of safety involved in making sure trains are loaded correctly. But we've also then gone on to build a lot of other software that is in use by a number of freight companies in the UK. And through that, really, we've come to learn more about the freight logistics market and the way it interacts with rail, which means that in recent years, we've started looking at some of the end-to-end processes that go around this and what the experience is of a customer who is trying to move something by freight. And that's led us to develop a couple of solutions which are very early days. They're not in production yet. They're at kind of proof of concept / early trial phase to look at how we can best manage the capacity of trains on the network. So are they being fully loaded before they depart? But also how we can help fit more freight trains onto the network. Because as I'm sure a lot of people know, the rail network in the UK is quite heavily congested. But it's congested because there's a lot of paths that are booked on the network that don't always run for various operational reasons. Some of them are entirely legitimate. So it's looking at opportunities to make the most of that latent capacity within the network.
Okay, that sounds interesting. What part can rail play in multimodal freight logistics strategy?
Yeah.
Is rail competing with road, or are they complementary?
I'd say that they are complementary. Quite often they behave as if they can be a little bit in competition. You'll see a lot of stuff around rail can take 76 lorries off the road, a lot of stuff around modal shift. But actually, in order to service the needs of the customer, you need to have an end-to-end logistics solution that incorporates road, rail, and air and maritime as well, because a customer isn't interested in moving goods from one rail yard to another rail yard. They're interested in moving goods from where they are to where there's demand for them. So as part of a joined up system, making the most of the different benefits of all of the different players in the logistics network, rail can play a part in delivering a integrated supply chain that meets the needs of industry at the moment. And that might be looking at where some of the current bottlenecks and restrictions are. So at ports, you're very limited how many trucks you can get through a port in order to load boxes onto them if we're talking containers, to get them out onto the road. It's more efficient to put them directly onto the train at the dock, run that to an inland terminal, where then road transport can run those containers out to the customers in a radial pattern from that hub. And that really is the best for everyone because it's taking those long trunk journeys off the road, putting them on rail, and it's doing what road does best, which is work quickly, work efficiently to distribute things to disparate customers who aren't near a railhead.
Okay, well, you're at the right conference and exhibition with MultiModal. You
Definitely.
must be surrounded by potential customers and users. Have you found it?
Yeah, so there's some people here already that we've had conversations with in the past as part of our work. So rather than assume we know everything about how to solve the problems, we've spent a lot of time talking to people who operate ports, people who operate materials handling at ports. Obviously, the people who run the trains. We've had relationships with freight providers in the UK for many years. But also the people who are looking at the wider logistics piece. So maybe they are brokers, maybe they are freight forwarders, or maybe they are people who've got assets that they want to move themselves, be it 1 or 2 containers, or be it train load containers.
I heard you speaking today on the very interesting panel. What are the challenges ahead so that we can get more freight on rail and road as well?
Yeah, so the challenges are really the number of different players involved in moving an item from one place to another. So it can look quite simple from the outset that you want to move a container from A to B.
Yeah.
Well, put it on a train, off it goes. But actually there are many, many different people who are involved in joining that all up. And if they can only see their part of the picture, they can't see the inward journey, they can't see the outward journey, the good faith decisions they make about what order they prioritise things in, how things are organised, might not actually benefit the end-to-end journey. So I'd say the number one barrier is about people and process. It's about mapping out where the value is, where the responsibility is in getting from A to B, and making sure that the data can change hands where it needs to change hands in a suitable format that works for everyone involved.
Are we at the beginning of that, solving that challenge, or are we midway?
We have to say we're midway through that journey, because that challenge started pretty much in 1970s when British Rail implemented TOPS. So the problem they were trying to solve at that time was they had loads of wagons all over the country. They didn't always know where they were, and they weren't always organised in the most efficient fashion. So TOPS brought a revolution to rail freight at the time. It reduced the number of wagons that were needed in order to move freight, but times have changed since TOPS was implemented. British Rail's come and gone. We've now got multiple different passes involved in it in a more commercial landscape. The underpinning systems are still the systems from the British Rail days. So one of those challenges is we are still using TOPS under the hood to manage freight train loading, with a lot of different systems dotted around the edge, different ways of exchanging data, different ways of managing information that don't talk as effectively as they should.
I suppose my next question is, what is the role of digital technology in overcoming these challenges and making it seamless, I think was the...
All too often, you talk at anyone who talks about digital and innovation, and the response you get is, oh, we've got an app for that. An app is not what people want. People have app fatigue, they have change fatigue. There's already been a lot of things that have come and gone to try and solve this problem. And Uber works for people, Uber doesn't work for freight. You can't be the next Uber of freight. But what you can do is look at the stakeholders involved, the processes involved, the people involved, really define your solution, and then use digital technology to remove the manual, onerous, time-consuming parts for that. So you can then leave human experts who know how all of this works to make the decisions that really make a difference and provide the most value with their capabilities.
Digitalisation has been one key theme during the conference and exhibition, but sustainability has been another. How does sustainability fit into greater use of rail freight?
It's a good question. The statistics that you can get from the Department of Transport when you look at it will show that rail has lower carbon emissions in terms of tonne kilometres than road transportation does for like goods, which is really where, coming back to the original point about moving that trunk journey onto rail, then a customer looking to minimise the carbon consumption of their supply chain can look at how they can benefit from that trunk movement. That might be one customer doing it, it might be multiple customers aggregating to it. So your core journey is low carbon rail, and then your end journey, you're only using rail for where it's only using road for where it's most optimal to do so.
So there is a partnership there. They're not competitors, it's partnership all the way through. Well, thank you, Martin. It's been fantastic and very informative. And thank you very much, sir. Thank you.